Hey everybody, welcome back. Let's go ahead and review last week, week one, there at the day trading room at Simpler Trading. Thanks again so much for your support. Thanks for making it that easy to move us over from our Discord into Simpler. Everyone has been amazing. Our support has been amazing, and I just can't wait to continue this journey with you. Week one was actually pretty exciting, and after doing this video for the fourth time now, and I apologize about the first one, we had no audio on, but now we have audio, so we should be good to go. It was really eye-opening. In the past, I've only done broad market analysis, so I'll be doing that later on this afternoon. But that's where I do my video and I get you guys prepped for the week coming. But I've never actually, at the end of the week, sat down and just kind of go through everything we talked about, what happened, look at our alerts, and I have to tell you, it was a big eye opener. It's really awesome. It's a great way to almost like journal what we're doing. So I got myself a little nice little brown book here. And we are going to every week, I'm just going to jot down everything I want to talk about in this video. Now, I want to make this quick and so today, as far as like what we are going to cover and what I would like to cover, and again, I would like your feedback. So if there's something specifically that you want to see in these, please say so. And if it's not too difficult to do, then I will be more than happy to put that in there. But like for starters, what I'm going to do is go over the sentiment and read that to you. You're going to see it here on the screen, and I'm going to check my audio to make sure it's on. And we're going to go over that and just kind of talk around that. And then I'm going to review the ES futures just to say, hey, this is what we expected when we did our broad market analysis last week, and this is what happened, and kind of see, are we right there where we needed to be as far as reading the market and understanding the market. The next thing that I'll do is review the neutral strategy for all the traders out there who are trading the SPY and the QQQs based off the neutral strategy that we push out over the weekends. And then I want to go over the alerts. So the alerts are really important because I think we can gain a lot of knowledge from them. Remember, um, the alerts that you see are straight from Melissa and I's brokerage account. So they're straight as soon as we execute them, you see them. They're very quickly, and they represent exactly what's happening in the brokerage account. And then, our worst and best trade, pretty straightforward. So we had some SPX that were 300%, butterflies. We had HD, which was close to 300% this week. And the worst trade for me kind of got me towards the end of the week. And you're going to see that when we go through the alerts, and I'll talk about that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with our overall sentiment. So, my overall sentiment, I should say. My overall sentiment coming into this week, I started off with a quote by Walt Disney and said, "The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing." I'm a huge, huge component of this. I believe in this. I'm passionate about, I execute. That's what I want to do. I have a process. And when prices get to my levels, I want to show you that I'm going to take the trade. So you're not going to see me back off from trading. I don't want to just sit up here and talk, right? We teach, we educate. I love that. But at the same time, I got to show you that I put my money where my mouth is. And that's where that quote for me came from. Overall, the ES and NQ are still in supply zones, and we start and kick off earnings season. My first thought is how much can we actually move up before getting results from those earnings? Okay. Um, any company worth mentioning that could help the market boost or drop this week? I see many banks reporting as Schwab, Bank of America, Goldman, to name a few, and other names that can definitely have an impact were J&J, LMT, Tesla. And Tesla did have that impact on the market. We could see that on Thursday. Netflix also had an impact on the market, IBM and PG. It's always important that I notice these. There's always one name in that group that's a decoy. I kind of felt like it was Tesla and Netflix. They dropped, but then demand is starting to come in. You're starting to see people buy that stuff up already. Okay, and so if you're just laser focused on one or two names, you kind of forget about what the market's doing as a whole. So don't get caught up in just one or two names this quarter. I think this week for me is about the day to day and not getting too wrapped up in where I think the market is going, but to simply just follow price action and trade off of our levels. I think that overall, when I look at this overall sentiment, it was right there where it needed to be. We were right. How far could price go up? Well, here's the ES futures, guys. We've been in this supply zone for 1, 2, and 3 weeks here. And so you can see we topped out at the 50% area of this supply zone. It worked to the tick almost. We expected there to be resistance in there. You could see that we had topping wicks, and therefore the market didn't really do anything, did it? It pretty much just was an inside week. And we'll talk about more of that on the broad market analysis where I project for price to go and so forth. Okay, so again, sentiment looks really good. If we move on down here, this was your daily triggers. You can see that these worked very, very well. Matter of fact, price came down into the long trigger a couple times over the sessions into 41.42, and this is where we look to go long. That worked really well. Our resistance worked really well. Our indicators, the trending edges worked really well. We know that this is resistance until proven otherwise. Prices just could not sustain or hold above there. And then when we went over to the 4-hour chart, you could see the demand zones worked really, really well. Price moved up from demand. We pushed into supply, and the bigger time frame kind of took over. So we pushed up into the supply zone, and of course, again, sideways action. So once again, we're right on par where we needed to be. All right, so that's our review of the ES futures. And again, I think what you'll notice here is that we specifically did not move very much, and that's the big takeaway, right? The next thing that I want to show you guys is going to be the neutral strategy. So we're going to pull this up. All right, so this is going to be, let's put on the dates here. It was going to be this week. We're doing the 23rd, so this would have been about the 16th or 17th. Let's come over here and find this. First, we're going to put in the SPY. And these are your charts for this week, by the way. And then we'll put QQQ here. And let's come down to the 4th. So it's going to be the 4/16/23. And then 4/16/23 on this one as well. And there we are right there. And I keep all these for anybody that wonders. I've been doing this for many, many years. I love this strategy. I'm gonna keep this. It's on a weekly because I think this really like shows you what happened here. This was our weekly neutral strategy. As far as price is concerned, we could not break and hold over the green level. We couldn't even get into T1. Again, we were in supply, so price did not move very well to the upside. But notice how well the lower level held at 409.98, and just overall ended up being an absolute neutral week for the SPY. So I would say that our levels worked really well. Over here on QQQ, this is on the daily just to kind of show you that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We never could sustain or hold over the green level, but when we did break down underneath the red, the strategy we looked to go short. Prices did hit T1, T2, and we just missed T3 by looks like a few pennies there. But either way, I do believe this worked out as well. Okay. So just a quick review. If you have any questions about the SPY and QQQ neutral strategy, just let me know. Next thing that I want to be looking at is our alerts. So let's go ahead and pull those up. I'm going to pull up Discord. All right. Now these alerts are going straight into the simpler day trading room as well, underneath the alert section. So let's go into these alerts here. All right. And let's just focus on the beginning of the week. So we're going to come up here. We started trading on the 17th. So I'm going to scroll up here until we get to the 17th, and I'm going to take you, so please do not leave. I'm going to take you trade by trade and kind of help you understand how to read this. I know that most of you do, but I also just want to talk to you about, what's going on in our heads, what kind of trades we're taking here, how do we manage these trades and so forth, because it's really important to understand my trades. Every time I take a trade, and Melissa as well, these are just proof of concept. What we're doing is we're teaching you, all right, how to fish. The alerts are just showing you what we're taking based off of the levels that we teach you. All right. And so what you could take from here is, hey, do they win a lot? Do they lose a lot? How do they manage their trades? Those type of things. I think this will really help you out here. So we're still scrolling up here. I promise we're getting close. Um, And I feel it. We're getting close. There's the 17th. There's the 14th. All right, cool. So we start the week off on Monday. Remember the overall sentiment, we're not really like going anywhere, right? We don't expect like big moves. So here's a Microsoft. This is going to be an equity trade. You can see that it says equity right here. Got in at 290.16. And then we're trimming, right? And why am I trimming fast? Well, again, I'm not expecting big moves, so I'm being a little cautious. Then I trim again. You can see it says trim here, folks. And then I trim for 77 cents, and then again I trim for 49 cents, and then I'm finally stopped out for a gain of $1.17. Now, what does that mean? The gain of $1.17. So if you had 1,000 shares and you never trimmed and you made $1.17, you made about $1,170. If you did 100 shares, then you could do the math, but we were trimming through here. The idea though is this trade did work out fine. It was an equity trade. Let's go ahead and move down. So we then hit Netflix. I did on the equity side once again. I just wasn't feeling the market right away. It felt like we weren't going to move a lot, so I was being cautious and I did not want to jump into options right away because I felt like it could be a huge premium burn. And so again, that's why I'm choosing equity here. You can see my first trend came in at 40 cents, then 96 cents, and then here comes Melissa. She jumps in on some Google, looks like calls, and these are weekly calls. She pays $1.50. She buys four of them. She likes to stay around that 5 to 600. She's very disciplined and stays within her allocation for every trade, unless she says otherwise. Over here on Netflix, I'm finally closed out. This was a good management of trade. You can see here it did not go negative. Over here on the Google, you see Melissa trimming out at 16%, 28%, and then she stopped for break even. She did very good at managing her trades. So good on you for that, Melissa. And then as we move here into our next trade, we have SPY. It looks like she jumps on the put side. She has five, and you can see once again between that 500 to $600. She then starts trimming at 19%, and then 20%, and then moving down, you can see she made 42%. Okay. Moving on down, I then jump into an SPX butterfly for 45 cents. And then over here, you can see that Melissa finally ends up closing her SPY puts at 45%. So once again, a nice winner there. And then for me, I start trimming on these butterflies. And again, guys, disclaimer on my SPX trades. I've said this many, many times, but I'm going to say it here. All my SPX trades, whatever I pay is my risk. What that means is if I pay $150, my stop, I don't have a stop. It's $150 of risk. This allows me to let the trades work out, and I'm very comfortable in more like Zen state, where I want to be. So just so that everybody understands that. All right. All right. Moving on down here, you can see that SPX once again, we hit 100%, trimming again, and then SPX finally closes out at 300% for $1.80. And again, we only paid like 40 cents or 35 cents for these. So nice trade there on SPX. So we're booking. We're doing our thing, man. Monday was absolutely amazing. And here we are on the 18th. We have some Disney. We're buying equity. We come on in. Melissa jumps into Oxy, buying some calls there. I'm adding into Disney. I must like the trade. Then I start trimming at 40 cents. And then I buy gold, which I still have on right now, and it is negative at the moment, and it does expire this week, so you won't see any closes or trims from that. Then Melissa starts to trim her Oxy at 7%, and then I'm still trimming Disney at 80 cents. And then over here on Oxy, she's taken off some at 19%. And then Disney, I closed for 98-cent gain. And then Disney, I jump into the option side. And the reason why this is funny because some of our traders are already bought the options instead of taking the equity. And some people do that. I trim at 4.2%. And then QQQ, I jump into this. I add, I add, I add. I start to trim again. And then right here, I am Disney trim at 9.4%, QQQ trim 98 cents, and you can see everything's working really well. The week is just amazing. It's like, oh, you cannot do bad, right? So we're getting a little excited. Things are happening, right? We're day trading room at Simpler, and the transition's great, the trades are great. What could go wrong? Oxy, she ends up closing out at 5.68% negative. Good management of a trade, though. I think overall she was positive on that trade. And then down here, it looks like, okay, real quick, 35 cents is what I paid on this. I want to say it was only one option, and you guys see the quantity over there in the day trading room. And then you can see Melissa looks like she follows up. She's probably filling it too. She's like, hey, maybe there's a little bit of bullish close into the close, and then lo and behold, both of these go to zero. They did not work. But again, we're trading very very small on SPX. What I like there is the risk to reward for SPX, and that's why I like to trade the way I do with it. Disney trimming, and I remember, hey guys, we have Netflix earnings tonight, and this could have an impact on Disney. So I wanted to be really, really careful with this, and I ended up holding one option into the report, and of course, they did impact Disney. Disney did not do well, but I love it because overall the trade, because of equity and the fact that we trimmed everything but one contract, ended up being a positive trade anyways. Moving on down, I took Tesla. Um, let's see, Tesla options right here. This might have been the day they were going to report. Let's see, the 19th. Let's look. 19th. Yeah, it's pretty close. So we're just looking for a little move. Pay 247. Bought some Apple equity. I added to the Tesla contracts to get me closer to the 500. We bought at 251. We started trimming on Apple. Apple trim again. Apple trim again. Plug long-term trade, 280 days or so out. Just kind of building that position there. And then Tesla trim on our options at 280. And then Melissa comes in with seven of the Google calls, it looks like. And then I'm still trimming Apple. She starts trimming Google. I mean, what can go wrong? Did we ever lose? I mean, seriously, right? Yeah, right. Well, towards the end of the week, it gets a little bit different. And then Meta, I jump in here. I got some equity, but check it out. I go short. Make sure you're reading these. I go short. She's still trimming on her Google. Things are looking good. Then, boom, I get stopped out of Meta. Things start going south there on that trade. That didn't work. Only 72 cents though. Not bad risk. Okay. Google trim. She's now at 50%. Awesome trade. Then she closes out for a total of 38% on that last contract. And then AAL, American Airlines, she's closing out at 29%. This was a previous trade. She's doing good. Apple, I finally get out for a gain of $1.23. And then Tesla, the remainder of my contracts were stopped out at almost 20% or $3 on that little scalp trade, if you will. I jump into SPX. This is where things start to get a little weird, right? So I get into SPX, I fat finger it. The ask was only 15 cents, and somehow I buy it for 30 cents, and then I jump in and go, okay, well, I'm gonna get the price that I wanted, right? Either way, these did not end up working out. Again, very small trade. Moving on down. Tesla, this one's great. I want to talk about this at the end of our little video here, and the reason why is because I set this up to buy in a demand zone after during earnings. So these were limit orders for extended hours for price when it came into the zone, and we'll show that here in a few minutes. Roku over here, Melissa goes into Roku, $1.15 for calls. She's trimming out of some of her long-term T calls, and she ended up making 100% on those. But then we get down here, she jumps into calls for $1.29. She says right here, hey, I'm trimming at 100% for my T. She starts trimming her spies, 10%, 18%, 28%. Awesome trades. Gets stopped on Roku. Great management, only 24%. And honestly, I'm going to say this right now, and we'll talk more about this next week. But the trades themselves should not. They really should not. We shouldn't have big losses on PMZ trades. They really should be somewhere between 24 to maybe 40% at the most. And that starts to change towards the end of the week. But I just want to make sure that we talk about that. And if you have questions coming up into this week when we're in the room, if you have questions about this comment, just bring them up and I'd love to talk about it a little bit more. Okay. NVIDIA. So this is where, for me, things start to get kind of weird. like more like the SPX, whatever, I'm going to make mistakes. And that's what I love about my trades is they come straight from my brokerage account. So there's no, I can't mess up and then write out an alert and say, oh, I got in at 15 cents. Like you're going to see exactly what I do. So I love that. It's very transparent and you can see not only I'm not perfect and I'm going to mess up trades, but we get down here to NVIDIA and my allocation is off, right? So I go normal size, right? And then I trim and I could feel that it wasn't really doing anything that I wanted to. It just didn't move fast enough out of the PMZ. Okay. And so I take a quick trim and then I go into HD. And this is where I really want to focus on today's lesson or the takeaway from this week is this was normal allocation. And for some reason, I went in small here. And I think the reason why I went small is because I was teaching on how to load allocation amounts on dollar amounts and I forgot to change it. And so it was only half a normal size. Well, we start to trim here at 23%. She's still trimming her T's. Let's see, she's out of T. She did good there. SPY, she's trimming. I started trimming HD. Well, I closed at 94%. And, I made some money up here at 23% and then at 94%. But at the end of the day, the big slap on the wrist is I went half allocation. So this didn't really make up for my NVIDIA loss, if you will. Okay. So what happens later on in the day? Well, I get back into NVIDIA, not out of a revenge trade. This was a PMZ trade. So basically, if I could, let me draw this on the charts for you. We had a zone here, okay, just like this. And when I had originally taken NVIDIA, we were looking for the pop. I got that small trim, and then it just broke right back down, okay? It started to go down. I broke the PMZ, kept going down, kept going down. And then later on in the day, it comes back up, and we're like, hey, the market's starting to actually get back to where it needs to be. Well, guess what? I buy right here again. It's just part of the process at $1.17. Again, normal allocation, and then this thing just I ended up getting wiped out from it. It just didn't work. It dropped so quickly. And not, I wouldn't say deer in the headlights. I've been doing this a long time, but again, our overall allocation for the week was pretty small, but at the same time, I think I might have held on because of the idea that, yeah, this can't be right. It broke down, it found some support. Let's see if we get that support again. Well, that didn't happen. SPY, I go into equity here. I added, I trim, and then I get stopped. This is where the market starts to pull back. So NVIDIA is getting hit, SPY is starting to get hit, and so forth. Okay. SPY calls from Melissa. She bought down at the zone. It looked like it was doing really good. She had 11%, and then took the stop at 8%. Great management, Melissa. I go into the put side, all right, because we started breaking levels and I'm looking for a lower demand zone. And boy, it sure did look like we were headed down to it. Again, we make 11%, then the market just starts to scream to the upside, and these lose value very, very quickly, ending up in a loss overall. HD, I jump back in for some reason. Again, smaller allocation. This is again the takeaway. Keep those allocations the same. I start to trim 17%, 34%, and then when we open up the next day, I hit 278%. HD was obviously my best trade in some SPX this week, so great trading there. Again, just allocation is the key. Google, let's see here. It looks like on Friday I took a little lotto on the open. This did not end up working. Amazon, Melissa, same thing. She took this and I felt bad for these trades to be, very straightforward. We had PMZ trades, things were looking good, and the market just immediately broke down. But it didn't break down like hard, but the premium was absolutely sucked out of these positions. And, it gets to a point where you have a couple contracts and it's like, okay, well, the total on these is worth like $30. I'm not going to close out. I'm going to wait for the remainder of the day and see if we get some kind of, move to the upside. All right. So Roku entered some equity. I got stopped out, $1.14. Things are just not going my way on Thursday and Friday. You can see that. And then I come in with the SPX. Nice trade here. Ended up getting 61%, and then I left one on to see if we could pin by the end of the day. That didn't happen. And this right here is a little uh, misleading because remember, I entered Tesla 3 times. Our last entry was 162 and some change, and it's showing -4. This is not accurate. It should be taking the last time I got in and then showing you that gain. So I want to say we actually gained about $2 to $3 on the last shares that we entered. So I was just trimming from our last entry, and we'll go over that really quick. All right. So, what's really neat about this is going over these, I remember exactly each trade, exactly how I felt, what I was going through, and that's what I was saying. This is really eye-opening for me, and it really allows me to kind of, look at myself internally and say, okay, what could I have done different? And again, my biggest takeaway from this week is just allocation. Okay. Let's go ahead and minimize that. We're going to minimize this, and let's get into Tesla really quick. Okay. All right, so this is Tesla trade, and I want to show you this. So this is the zone, and really this zone should be green just to kind of help you guys understand. Oops, not save as default, but it's okay. So we'll go right here. That is way too green. Come up to HSV, change the transparency here to about 74. There we go. All right, so earnings came out. I came out with 2 zones. I said, look, we're either going here or here. And if we come here, I want to buy in the zone. So I buy, and then I buy down here. And then as we push up, and then we're looking at selling as price pushes up. So again, this was just a earnings trade, buying in the zone. We'll see how it works out this coming week, but I'd like to see price continue to try to push up towards 169, 174 this week. If it takes out the lows, then I think that Tesla can continue down towards this 153 and even 142, but we'll talk about that stuff a little bit later. Had a nice little bounce on Friday, but again, just buying the zone. Other than that, folks, that kind of wraps up how I felt about this week, our review. If you want to see anything else, go over this in here, please let me know. I think the biggest thing is as I do these more and more, we'll get quicker and quicker and really hit on the most important topics of a quick review. I really appreciate you guys. Can't wait to trade with you tomorrow. One of the biggest takeaways, again, is that allocation this week will probably still fall uh, in the $500 range per trade, uh, and possibly 500 to 1,000. I still expect some sideways movement. We'll talk about it in the broad market analysis tonight, okay? All right, guys, appreciate it. See you soon.